A renowned Taiwanese independence activist has died at the age of 96. New amendments to Taiwan's Mobilization Act could see the military have greater control of the media.
I'm Glauert for TaiwanPlus here in Lviv, Ukraine. I've got a report for you on how Taiwan and Ukraine are becoming closer during this time of war.
Plus, ahead of 228 Peace Memorial Day, activists asking for historical records about political suppression to be fully declassified. A warm welcome to Taiwan Plus News. I'm Ethan Liu. Koo Kwang-ming, a major figure in Taiwan's democracy movement, has died at the age of 96. Our reporter Bing Wang looks back on Koo's life and his decades-long struggle to see Taiwan become an independent state.
A legendary life of political activism comes to an end. Koo Kwang-ming was one of the leading figures in the fight for Taiwan's democracy and a longtime advocate for Taiwanese independence. On Monday, Koo's family said he had passed away at the age of 96. The official reason for his death has yet to be announced. Koo was a fierce critic of the Republic of China, the official name of Taiwan, and of its authoritarian leader, Chiang Kai-shek, who ruled the country as a one-party state for more than 25 years. Koo fled to Japan in 1947 after a violent uprising and brutal government crackdown, known in Taiwan as the 228 incident. Following this, Koo spent several decades living in exile, where he continued to call for Taiwanese independence.
胡老一生当中坚持台湾的主体性，致力于台独运动。不同时代的理想坚持者又走了一位，接下来你们的责任更重了。
各方面是早晚有离开这社会，但是台湾永久存在。
After returning to Taiwan in the early 1970s, his lifelong fight continued. Just a couple of years before his death, Koo co-founded and chaired the Taiwan New Constitution Foundation. This organization argued that the Republic of China Constitution should be replaced with a Taiwan one. Before his death on Monday morning, supporters said he had been sick for a long time.
年初3的时候，有最后一次去探望顾先生。那时候他已经是多数时候是在昏迷的状态，偶尔清醒。但是我们跟他说话，握着他的手跟他说话，他有流眼泪，是听得到的。
While a hero to many, Koo wasn't without controversy. He sometimes made offensive comments about other public figures, particularly women. Past targets of his misogynistic remarks included President Tsai Ing-wen and former Vice President Annette Lu. Despite this, Koo would go on to be an advisor for President Tsai after she took office in 2016. Following Koo's death, President Tsai and other high-level politicians offered their condolences. They said Taiwan had lost an important individual, one that fought hard to help bring democracy in Taiwan. Alex Chen and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's military has submitted draft amendments to the All-Out Defense Mobilization Readiness Act. One of the biggest and arguably the most controversial proposal will give the military greater oversight of the media during times of war. Jaime Ocon explains.
Taiwan's Defense Ministry is proposing harsher fines and stiffer punishments for a variety of actions that it says would hurt the country in times of war. The military wants to amend parts of the All-Out Defense Mobilization Readiness Act. This law is supposed to help prepare the country for a conflict. It not only includes regulations for people to report for military service, but also provides rules for things like hoarding goods and price gouging. But now, the military wants to add greater oversight to the media.
Headlines like these that say the Mobilization Act is controlling the media are on newspapers all across Taiwan. If the new changes are approved, it would give the government power over all media reporting on war and emergencies.
The new amendments also say that any organization publishing what the Defense Ministry deems to be false information during mobilization could face up to 3 years in prison and a fine of about $33,000 US. Media groups would also be required to make their resources available for government use. Experts say that in times of war or an emergency, this law is meant to protect the country rather than give more power to the government.
所以简单讲，就是当国家遇到紧急状况的时候，才会限制部分的权利。那等到紧急状况解除之后，那所有 civil right 就会全部恢复，也包括这个就是媒体的就是自由，也都会全部恢复成常态。我想这个部分是民主国家所都拥有的一个机制。
Guidelines for the Mobilization Act are divided into two sections, one for peacetime and the other times for war. But the draft amendments do not mention a time limit or what extent the government is able to control media in the event of war. Lawmakers from the opposition Kuomintang, or KMT, are urging the government to outline more clearly what the parameters are.
在所谓的全员动员令的这个部分，我们也要求政府应该要说明清楚，到底它的规模跟阶段是不是应该要更明确。如果伤害到言论自由、新闻自由的话，而又不是一个非常时期，我想国人绝对没有办法接受。
Taiwan's defense ministry responded to concerns that the amendments would give the military complete control over the media. It issued a statement saying that the revised draft of the law mainly distinguishes between pre-mobilization and post-mobilization, and that the management of media and communication equipment is to maintain security. It also said that comparing it to martial law is not true. The proposed amendments are not final. Approval from Taiwan's legislature is still needed, which could happen as early as April. People here are waiting to see if the measures can protect the country while also protecting their civil rights. Howard Zhang and Hamiokan for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is running low on essential medicines. This has pushed some hospitals to cut prescriptions from 3 months to just 1. A decision to lower drug prices has also been delayed as a result. Stush Bala reports.
Mr. Zhuang is a pharmacist in the rural east of Taiwan. Recently, a severe medicine shortage has hit his business hard. He says it'll be months before his supplies return to normal. It's not just small stores that are suffering. Big hospitals used to give out prescriptions valid for 3 months of medicine. Now, to save supplies, they've cut that down to just 1. Some patients are worried their drugs will run out altogether.
慢性病不吃又不行啊，像高血压药你不能停的啊。我前一阵帮我妈妈拿药啊，那胃药就要自费啊。以前没有遇到。对啊。
Hospitals say they're short on dozens of medications, including antibiotics and laxatives. In response, health authorities have delayed a decision to set new drug prices until they're sure which medicines Taiwan is lacking.
进行再一次的确认有没有扩大的现象，那比对的结果并没有。就是它的清单其实食药署已经在处理的，比如说软便剂，还有这个抗生素，我们还是会如期在3月1号来进行。
The health ministry says the reasons behind the shortage are complex, and each medication is different. And it's not just Taiwan seeing a lack of medicine. Shortfalls are also affecting several countries in Europe. Here, authorities aim to boost supplies, report shortages quicker, and redistribute drugs where possible. But it could be some time before those measures start to help. And until then, Mr. Zhuang, other pharmacists, and their patients have no choice but to wait. Damon Lin and Stash Butler for TaiwanPlus.
Russia's state-owned news agency has released drone footage showing extensive damage to the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. The city has seen some of the bloodiest fighting in Russia's year-long invasion. Of its original 70,000 residents, only 5,000 remain. Russia has so far failed to capture the eastern Ukrainian city. On Sunday, Russian President Vladimir Putin reiterated that the West aims to eliminate his country. Putin has repeatedly used this idea to justify Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
У них одна цель – раскассировать бывший Советский Союз и его основную часть, Российскую Федерацию. И потом, может быть, они и примут нас в так называемую семью цивилизованных народов. Но только отдельно. Понимаете? Каждую часть отдельно.
As war in Ukraine enters its second year, Taiwan is spending millions of dollars to help rebuild the embattled country. As Rick Glauert reports, Ukrainians are finding they have a lot in common with a friend 1,000 kilometers away.
Biscuits and blankets from Taiwan on the way to war-torn communities in Donetsk region, frontline of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Organising these donations is Hannah Hopko, a former parliamentarian pushing for greater ties between Taiwan and Ukraine.
It's very important for Ukraine that after the full-scale invasion, the genocidal war, Taiwan demonstrated that Taiwan stands with Ukraine. And I'm sure Taiwan will win with Ukraine. Because Ukrainian victory and defeating Russian authoritarianism is a powerful signal to another authoritarian regime which has this ambition for global dominance.
That other authoritarian regime is China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has recently upped threats to take by force. In Ukraine's fight for freedom, Taiwan and its people have found parallels in their own stand against Beijing. Despite Ukraine being more than 8,000 kilometers away, the war here has prompted unprecedented support from Taiwan. Taiwan's government and people have given tens of millions of US dollars in aid to Ukraine and pledged another 56 million to rebuild the country. In Lviv, Taiwan is helping digitalize the city's schools and preparing the next generation of Ukrainians for an uncertain future. Taiwan has also donated an angiography machine, which x-rays blood vessels, to the Children's Hospital, as well as an ambulance.
This car is working in our children's clinic, and I think it already saved a lot of lives and helped a lot of children.
But any recognition of Taiwan on the world stage often comes with repercussions from China, making it difficult for Kyiv and Taipei to forge official ties. China is Ukraine's largest trading partner. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been non-committal about China's peace proposal and its calls for a ceasefire.
І я вважаю, що це дуже непогано. І питання, що йде за словами, так? Тому що ми з вами люди, у час війни ми повинні розуміти, слова словами, всі щось говорять. Питання в кроках.
Kyiv has been wary of siding with Taiwan and upsetting Beijing, but the war may be changing that.
Of course, China all time pressure for our government. China ambassador here, he's very active. He go to our government, to our president office, and he said, if you will be to work with Taiwan, or if you will support Taiwan, we don't support you. But they don't support us anyway. Taiwanese people, Taiwanese government support us. It's why I think that we need to see not for in China side, but we need to see in side of our friends. Like
Hopko, who now heads the International Center for Ukrainian Victory, wants Taiwan and Ukraine to open diplomatic offices in each other's countries, a first step in formalizing relations. With China increasingly threatening Taiwan with war, the government in Taipei has upped defense spending and lengthened mandatory military service. And Hopko believes Taiwan can also learn from Ukraine.
So we are like-minded nations because freedom is key for us. Independence, our right to choose. And also in the future, we will work together in defense and security issues, exchanging our experience, because it's really important that Ukrainian armed forces learned a lot during the battlefield experience. This is what we could share, like territorial defense, how we mobilized all citizens of Ukraine, and actually Russia failed with its plan within 72 hours to occupy Ukraine. They didn't succeed.
As the war enters its second year, Taiwan is keenly watching, not only because it feels an affinity with Ukrainian struggle, but also for the message a victory for Putin here might send to its own authoritarian neighbour, Beijing. Rick Glauert in Lviv, Ukraine, for TaiwanPlus.
Rick Glauert is currently on the ground in Ukraine, and Louis Watt at TaiwanPlus headquarters in Taipei spoke to him earlier.
What kind of awareness of Taiwan is there in Ukraine?
An increasing amount of awareness would be the short answer. I mean, you can't deny the geography. We're 8,000 kilometers away from Taiwan here. And the last year has really been a battle about the fact that Ukraine is in the middle of between Europe and Russia. So that's what the battle's been about over the last year. But it's also been unprecedented support from like-minded countries around the world getting behind the Ukraine cause and making it their own. And that includes, of course, like-minded democracies very far away from here, like Taiwan. So I think the last year has been a big journey of awareness for people in Ukraine that there are other countries that might share similar histories, similar desires, similar challenges, and that includes places as far away as Taiwan.
How are Taiwan and Ukraine working together, and how might they work together in the future?
Well, the first thing is to say that, in fact, Kyiv and Taipei do not have official diplomatic ties. You know, China forbids Taiwan to be recognized by other countries. It doesn't let it have a platform on the world stage. So Taiwan has been working very closely with individual administrations, with city administrations, regional administrations to give aid. That's alongside, of course, civil society and everyday people in Taiwan also giving aid to Ukraine. Russia has been targeting critical infrastructure such as power stations, and there was real fears that a lot of Ukrainians would be cold and dark over the winter. Taiwan has been giving things like generators, warm clothing to areas all around Ukraine, to the city administrations, to bypass the fact that Kyiv and Taipei do not have official relations and they can't engage that way. We've also seen a massive pledge from Taiwan to help rebuild Ukraine. That's $56 million in infrastructure, helping hospitals, helping schools. One of the most interesting projects that we've seen here in Lviv is that Taiwan is helping to digitalize Ukrainian schools. That's helping them to teach more technology lessons, more science lessons, teach things such as programming and coding, and also robotics. And this is to help Ukrainian children be more competitive on the international market so that they can fulfill jobs online no matter what state Ukraine is over the next year or so.
That was TaiwanPlus reporter Rick Glauert speaking from the Ukrainian city of Lviv. And over here in Taipei, ahead of the 228 Peace Memorial Day, activists are proposing an amendment to the Political Archives Act, which will allow more files related to the White Terror era to be declassified if passed. They believe it's an important step to achieving transitional justice. Yu Jinhuang reports.
After Taiwan's Political Archives Act passed in 2019, researcher Su Qingxuan thought he would have access to a trove of information. Su was researching the brutal political crackdowns which occurred during the White Terror period, and he wanted to build a fuller picture of what happened during that time. But as he began examining documents from the National Security Bureau, he realized that finding out more about this dark part of Taiwan's past would not be so easy. Many documents were like this one, only revealing details about the victims, but covering up the names of those involved in secret police work.
国安局就是有对于党外人士进行这个情报部件，不只做政治侦访，然后也侵害他们的个人隐私。我们没有办法看到执行这些业务的情治工作人员的姓名。
Current regulations allow for official information to remain confidential in certain circumstances, like when it relates to national security. But free speech activists say this restricts transparency and only serves to protect those who aided an oppressive regime. They are demanding an amendment to the Political Archives Act, which would declassify all documents. They say that if the law doesn't change, it creates the possibility for more cover-ups in the future. And for activists like Chen Jiaming, the information should be released out of respect for those who were persecuted by the state.
被害情境的无知，不义来源的无知，这个本身就是一种很大的不义。是谁做的？怎么做的？怎么组织？怎么部件？怎么筹划？他们有知道真相的权利。
Political oppression in Taiwan lasted for decades. It's only in recent years that the country has worked to confront this past through transitional justice. The National Security Bureau says it will try to minimize the limits on its records. But some say that clear lines have to be drawn, and even uncomfortable truths must be recognized. That's all part of being a democracy. Patrick Chen and Yu Jinhuang for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, Taiwan's government draws up strategies to help farmers in southern Taiwan weather a severe crisis. Stay tuned.
I'm Adeline.
Bethany. Joanna. Elizabeth. Yara.
Sophia.
1, 2, 3, explore Taiwan! All right, here we are. This is our first time to see this deer. Oh, wow. This is the flavor of Taiwan. Come explore Taiwan.
Mommy and Olivia are riding the bicycle in Turtle Island.
7 Sisters Explore Taiwan. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for watching TaiwanPlus. For more stories from here in Taiwan and around the world, visit the website TaiwanPlus.com and download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. At least 59 migrants, including 12 children, have died and dozens more missing after their boat sank in rough seas off southern Italy on Sunday. The boat, which sailed from Turkey several days ago, was carrying passengers from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, and Iran. The exact number of people who were on the boat when it broke apart is still not clear. Rescue workers say the vessel had been carrying more than 200 people, while local officials say around 80 people survived, though as many as 30 may still be missing. Italian police said an investigation is underway to identify 4 suspected human traffickers from Turkey. Japan says it plans to buy 400 Tomahawk missiles from the United States. The country's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida made the announcement on Monday. Tomahawk missiles are ship-launched weapons that can strike targets on land and at sea. Last month, Tokyo said it will allow U.S. Marines armed with the missiles to be stationed on Japan's outlying islands of Okinawa. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un opened a major conference dedicated to agriculture. The rare meeting has prompted speculations that the country is facing a serious food shortage. The regime's state media said on Monday that the ruling Workers' Party will determine immediate and important tasks on agricultural issues. The high-level meeting took place after border lockdowns, global sanctions, climate disasters, and price increases have affected the country's food supply. It is estimated that over 10 million people in the country were undernourished, while recent unconfirmed reports have said an unknown number of North Koreans have died of hunger. Meanwhile, a historic drought is threatening the southern part of Taiwan. That's why the government is developing new strategies to manage the region's water resources, hoping that local farmers could weather the crisis for at least maybe a few more months. Zhang Venturist has more.
Trouble in Taiwan's southern farmlands. These counties are big producers of rice and other staple foods, but they've not seen significant rain in well over a year. It's almost 30 years since such a dry spell, and the region's reservoirs are running low. Taiwan's agriculture minister has come to inspect the drought's impact. He is confident that even with low reservoirs, farms can survive for now by using alternate sources of water like wells and ponds.
我们只要给农民适当的水资源，那绝对可以确保42000公顷的杂作的生产，来满足我们粮食安全。
But that's in the long term. The local farmers' biggest concerns are the issues they're facing now and how the current water shortage could affect future harvests.
我现在也很担忧，春雨没来，接着梅雨也都没来的时候怎么办？我们2期做的插秧可能就要延后到8月之后了。
The government has said it will step in. On March 1st, the authorities will set up an emergency response team tasked with managing the region's water supply and working to conserve water. But ultimately, officials are looking to the summer. That's when typhoons bring heavy rains, and when, they hope, its parched southern counties will get some much-needed relief. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A landfill in Taidong City has caught fire. The situation has been further exacerbated by the water shortage, as well as officials say the fire could take days to fully extinguish. Local authorities say they don't know what caused the 5-story tall trash heap to combust on Sunday. The smoke and odor have forced some nearby residents to leave their homes. Most hotels in the area were fully booked because of the 228 long weekend. Neighborhood officials have since been working with local temples to provide accommodations for those in need.
社会客他们出面协调那个计划店的膳房，先免费提供给这些里民居住有需要的里民也是在场也提供一些泡面简单的一些物资。
You may be familiar with cat cafes, but Reptile Cafe over in Malaysia, one eatery is giving customers a special upscale experience. Called Fang's, the cafe just outside Kuala Lumpur lets customers get up close and personal with all sorts of snakes, lizards, and other scaly critters. It's not just reptiles, some arachnids and mammals also here too. The cafe's owner hopes by interacting with the critters, people will appreciate them more. Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. Remember to download the Taiwan Plus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of boats taking part in a round-of-world ocean race setting out from Cape Town in South Africa. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.